Hello, ladies and gentlemen. 3 games into the IPL 14, we are here to see whether Mumbai Indians can defend the title. They have held on to the title, their fifth title, for barely 5 months. But that's the way COVID has turned out the whole cricketing calendar, right? So, Ash, 3 games. What is the talking point for us over here?
You touched upon it just now, Amol. I think COVID is going to play a huge factor right through the course of the tournament. In fact, COVID has already played a major role. Even before the tournament started, we saw players like Devdutt Padikkal and Akshar Patel testing positive, and they weren't, they were sort of suspect for the first games. And I think this will be a regular feature right through the tournament because if you look at the case of somebody like Daniel Sams, he's entered the bubble, tested negative in the first test, and then tested positive. So you cannot safely say that everybody who's in the bubble is negative and nothing will happen. And Lord knows, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how much ever isolation you want to implement, there are always some interactions here and there, secondary contact and all that. So I think we're looking at quite a few pullouts through the course of the tournament. Hopefully, it will not reach a disastrous proportion where the tournament itself will be, in doubt. So hope that the tournament goes on smoothly. But definitely, there will be some players and support staff who will be going in and out.
Ashwin, you took 3 names. I think the biggest scare was with the one that you missed out on. Not a player, but a support staff, a coaching staff member of Mumbai Indians. Kiran More was tested. He tested positive after Mumbai Indians had cleared all the quarantine in Bombay. Then they were training in Chennai, and just before their first game, Mr. More was diagnosed as a COVID-19 positive, and that was for me the biggest scare. It's like what you just said, that you take all the precautions, but when someone has actually entered the bubble and is diagnosed positive, thankfully, or at least so far, there is no Mumbai Indians spree that has joined in. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you never know, especially with the disastrous proportions that COVID has rapidly moved on to, primarily in some of the IPL host cities or states. So that's one of the biggest concerns, and the cynic in me just feels that we don't reach a stage wherein, besides the boundaries and sixes counter, we have to start initiating a COVID-19 counter for IPL 2021.
Correct, Amol. And I think we have to discuss the protocol in terms of what teams should follow when it comes to handling COVID positive cases in their group. For example, Devdutt Padikkal testing positive in RCB, it was so hard to get that information from the team management. We had to wait for a reporter to break the story, and then we kept requesting the RCB team management. Can you confirm this? Can you confirm this? Look, we have our sources. We've already confirmed that it's true, but we can't put it out. It's sensitive. And I'm not saying this from a point of view where I need my story, give me my confirmation. I need my story, yes, but also the more important thing is, haven't we reached a stage now where people can be open about it, just so that people surrounding that positive tested person, they can take their own precautions and try and be safe themselves. So we had a very, very tough time here in Bangalore getting any confirmation from RCB with respect to Padikkal. How was it with More?
Welcome to the world of Indian cricket, Ashwin. As in, everyone seeks transparency when it comes to basic outflow of news, but something that's as rare as BCCI making all the rules public and following them, right? So I am not surprised. It's going to be the same old story. Whatever administrative reforms that you have on paper, it won't be implemented. The protocols there are on paper, the SOPs with regard to COVID-19 cases during the IPL, everything is on paper. We have a copy, but it's been amended and we are not informed about it because who are we, right? All
Yeah.
teams cater to their fans through their social media handles. BCCI does the same. Sometimes the mainstream media still plays a role, and it's primarily because of the objective role that we play that perhaps we are not really wanted in today's day and age, right?
Oh, 100%. Because if we had not persisted, I think the particle matter would have been brushed under the carpet 100%, because he had tested positive on 22nd, and the news came out just before the start of the tournament. A good 8 or 9 days had passed, and he was already nearing the completion of his quarantine by then, and he had already almost recovered by then. So it was pretty bizarre, yeah. But yeah, I guess this is the new normal. So better get on board and get used to it, I guess.
Exactly. And one of the other things that's always brushed under the carpet during the IPL is the overrate issue, right? It's like time and again
Yeah.
we see that there are regulations. This year IPL authorities ensured by handing the details over to select media that yes, you have to complete 20 overs and not just start the 20th over in 90
Mm.
minutes, including 5 minutes of timeouts. But we have seen in the first three games that it's again the same old story, something that you just can't put a curb on. Yes, for the sake of it, one of the captains was fined for maintaining slow over rate, and the rules say three fines would mean 1 game suspension. These rules have been on paper forever. I don't remember any captain being suspended for a game. Do you, Ashwin?
No, and I don't think that has happened at all. And I mean, this stuff about a new batsman going in, facing two balls, and then saying, bring me some gloves, bring me some water. I mean, come on, man. How much advice and break do you need? I think at least in these, sort of farcical circumstances, the on-field umpires can step in and say, come on, man. He doesn't need water. He just came into bat. He hasn't even faced a ball. And also, you have to question, like you had mentioned, that, the BCCI is very going to be, I mean, at least pretended to be strict about the overrate and all that this time. But you really have to question whether there is a real will to implement anything. Because let's be honest, the more ad breaks you get, the better the revenues. And if the more you delay it, I guess the more the excitement builds and all that. So yeah, maybe some sort of token fines and a bit of stern warnings. But again, I don't see too much changing here. Do you think that some stern action will be taken at all?
I'm such an optimist when it comes to Indian cricket that I would be highly surprised if something ever changes in the near future. I all I can do is to hope against hope and see at least one captain being punished. It'll obviously be in the second half, somewhere along the line when every team is desperately fighting for a place in the playoffs, or those who are at the top of the table, they're trying to finish in top two. But unless you act sternly against it, nothing is going to come out of it. And like you said, uh, the more the delay, the better it is for all stakeholders concerned, except for some fans, some million fans who have been watching it on TV, right? Too early to dissect trends as such, but if you have to talk about anything that's startled you as such from the first three games, what would that be?
I would say CSK looks surprisingly similar to the CSK which failed miserably last season, which is strange. I mean, apart from Moeen Ali, I think the rest of the side is pretty much unchanged. And we know what happened with CSK last year. They were an utter failure. You'd think that some wholesale changes were on the cards, but no. I mean, same batting lineup, same Dhoni, and of course, he didn't do his credentials any good. Got out for a duck also, and I don't know. I mean, there are some teams which are probably too stubborn for their own good. Maybe CSK falls in that category where Dhoni in the team management says, boss, I know what I'm doing. You don't have to tell me about daddy's army and all only former international cricketers and all that. We know how to play. But, sometimes I guess it works for you, but in CSK's case, it's just not working. This same lineup which failed last year is not going to do well this year. So I don't see CSK really making it to the playoffs or doing great things this year either. What about you?
Just to add to what you said, a couple of things. As in, see, we know T20. Yes, it's a batsman's game, but eventually it's the bowlers that make win you games, right? And we have seen in T20s for more than a decade now that, especially in IPL, you can't enter an IPL game without a genuine fast bowler, someone who clocks in mid 140s, if not 150s, and a wicket taking leg spinner. And I think Chennai Super Kings in the first round is the only team to have neither in its 11. Yes,
Hmm.
Lungi Ngidi and Jason Berendorf, whenever they are available, one of them will surely come into the 11. But how can you have Imran Tahir in the squad and not have him play the game again after what you experienced last year? He's your only, if not the best wicket taking option during the middle overs, and the games are turned heads around. And that's the decisive phase of majority of games, because everyone starts with a bang, everyone ends with a bang. What you do in the middle matters the most, and that's where the wicket taking bowlers come into equation, I feel. So I hope Chennai Super Kings address it as soon as possible before it's too late, like it happened in the Gulf.
Right, right. If you had to pick a star performer, one star performer from the three games that have happened so far, who would your pick be, Amol?
I would go with Harshal Patel, primarily because he is someone who has been around for ages. Not many would realize he had to remind everyone during the post-match interaction that yes, he is playing his 10th IPL season, and for that matter, he has been a part of IPL since 2010. He was one of those who was involved in that 2010 Under 19 World Cup draft, right? And
Yeah,
him being picked by Mumbai Indians back then had created a ruckus, because the then Mumbai Indians head coach, who happened to be India's head coach later on, didn't know what his specialism was, and just based on the nod from the team management, did Anil Kumble actually go for Harshal Patel. The surname connect had created a sort of a storm,
mm,
but Harshal Patel is someone who's one of those typical domestic utility cricketers, right? Someone who has always been around, been doing. At times, you have seen him open in white ball cricket for his domestic sides. You have seen him bowl genuinely quick right at the start of his career. Now he has learnt all the tricks of the trade that are required in white ball cricket. It's actually good to see someone like him who has been putting in so much of hard work day in and day out for more than a decade to actually get his due. A 5 wicket haul in IPL is a real big deal for a bowler. So I'm
yeah,
really happy for him. How about you,
yeah.
Ash?
I'll go with the Delhi Capitals opening batsmen, both of them, Shikhar Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw. Now, I have a reason for this also. I know these are early days and all that, but I'm looking at the big picture here. The T20 World Cup that's coming up later this year, I see the Indian team, they still don't have a settled opening pair. I think that has to be accepted. We saw the England T20 series also, where Rohit Sharma is a shoe in, no problem. But then India also tried Shikhar Dhawan, KL Rahul, and then at the end, Kohli himself came in and opened and stunned all of us and said that he's the opener. So I think both Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw, if they continue to do well like they did in their opening match, I think they one of them could sneak in to the World Cup squad. And what worked in their favor is that Kohli is like a here and now captain. You scored a century today. You're the best player, boss. Come and join the Indian team. That's the sort of guy he is. He is not somebody who picks you, backs you for the long term and all that. It's like this guy is the man right now. He's hot. Bring him, put him in the team bus. That's the sort of captain he is. So if Shaw and Shikhar Dhawan continue to score from runs, I think they can get a seat in that T20 World Cup squad.
Testing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our esteemed colleagues will see you later in the week. Thank you.